go up in my hydroplane. Welcome to our Gatsby presentation here. I'm George Dornbach.
I'm Julia Alba.
And today we're going to be discussing the topic on whether Jay Gatsby truly was a great man. And to start it off, I'm going to start with my opinion. I believe that yes, he truly was a great man. He was a man of great ambitions, and although his views were sometimes flawed, everything he did, he was doing for love. And that is a truly great ambition to drive for.
I somewhat disagree with George, and I believe that he was so obsessed with the idea of the American dream, and I always felt like he objectified Daisy to be, an object of the American dream. And the only way he was able to become one of the old wealthy people, he had to get Daisy, because she was a stepping stone to the noble class. So Gatsby even made his new identity and lied about his education and his family history to be accepted by others.
I do agree with that. He had great ambition, but he was never the pursued, only fell into the category of pursuing, as in chapter 10, Nick points out, there are only the pursued, pursuing, the busy, and the tired. A very good point there.
As Matthew J. Broccoli,
he's a Gatsby expert.
Exactly.
Fitzgerald expert,
yes, and he said that Gatsby is the American self-made, indeed self-invented man. He believes in the American dream of success, the orgastic future. And he fulfills it. He fulfills it what society believes is the American dream, to gain wealth, to, become one of the most successful people in the world. But, he himself was never able to reach the American dream or fulfill it all the way, because he was never able to get Daisy, because she ended up going back to Tom. So for himself, he was never able to get the American dream, but for society, they viewed him as he was the definition of the American dream.
Yeah, Broccoli says he fulfills it, he confuses it with Daisy, and he is betrayed by it. Yeah, Gatsby fulfills his American dreams, the riches, the wealth, it's all for Daisy though. Hence all the confusion, and hence himself being betrayed by it. Now, making a little bit broader statement here, James Gatz, was no mere mortal in the eyes of Fitzgerald, the reader, and the characters within the novel itself. He was, for lack of a better term, the Batman of the 1920s. As said on page 48, it was romantic speculation he inspired that there were whispers about him from those who had found little that it was necessary to whisper about in this world. Right here, Fitzgerald is writing through Nick at the party about all the gossips about Gatsby, about how he's that elusive, great Batman-esque character in the book. And he's also considered great in a paradoxical sense, just in the fact that Gatsby is considered great by the measurement of his dreams, his wealth, his larger-than-life personality, the festivities and joviality that to others in the novel mark him as a man of high stature and almost a godlike in personal proportions.
So, is Gatsby the hero of the novel? According to dictionary.com, the definition of a hero is a person who, in the opinion of others, has heroic qualities or has performed a heroic act and is regarded as a model or ideal. So, as we mentioned before, Gatsby has these great qualities of a hero. He has ambition, self-drivenness, he's extremely dedicated to his dream, and he's very smart. So by many others, he may be regarded as the American dream hero by the people who go to his parties, because they see those extravagant wealth that he has. Since he has achieved such great wealth and status and respect by the others. But is Fitzgerald really positioning us, the audience, to see him as a hero? How is he using Nick as a narrator to express his opinion about people like Gatsby? So, as we see in page 6 in the novel, Nick says that Gatsby, who represents everything which I have an affected scorn. So that means that Nick doesn't have a very good opinion about the whole idea of the American dream. If personality is an unbroken series of unsuccessful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life. This sentence shows that Nick saw him as a very great man, but he was so flawed that destroyed him in the end.
Well, howdy there. Right now we're going to talk about how Gatsby was a tragic hero in this novel. A tragic romantic hero is defined as a great dramatic tragedy who is destined for downfall, suffering, or defeat, thanks to dictionary.com right there. Gatsby was probably one of the greatest 20th century tragic figures. He's known for his luxurious, ostentatious veneer, those grand mansions, the lavish parties, that faux Britishness almost. But nothing we see from Gatsby is really real. Every bit of his persona is ill-gotten and fabricated, just by how he's gotten his wealth and whatnot. As Gatsby says on page 116, "Can't repeat the past?" Gatsby cries incredulously, "Why, of course you can." And this in itself is one of the most tragic lines, I think. Gatsby is still holding on to this idea, his love for Daisy, but in the end, it ultimately brings him to his downfall. The audience knows this, but Gatsby can't get this through his head that you really can't repeat the past. You know, he's only truly happy when he's with Daisy. And funnily enough, Gatsby's love for Daisy is one of the only pure and authentic things about him. On page 156, he says, "But he deliberately had given Daisy a sense of security. But now he found himself to the following of a holy grail," meaning again that his love for Daisy eventually just brings him down.
So maybe Gatsby was a romantic hero. Well, what's a romantic hero? It is an archetype, and the characteristics of a romantic hero is somebody who is rejected by society, alienation. He has a lot of self-criticism and has extreme dedication to a single cause. So, first of all, Gatsby's father showed a schedule that Gatsby made about all the things that he has to do on that day, and it shows his extreme dedication. And then on page 6 at the very beginning of the novel, Nick describes how Gatsby has this extraordinary gift of hope, a romantic readiness such not likely I shall ever find again. So this shows that he has this extreme dedication to Daisy, that he has dedicated his whole life to that one single cause, that one goal to get Daisy. And it's a very large characteristics that makes him a romantic hero. So what are the flaws about Gatsby? One of the biggest flaws is that he loves Daisy too much. Everything he does is for Daisy. He dedicated his whole life in order to get her. He was almost obsessed with getting her and was never able to be happy without her. And that caused the demise and his downfall of his character. Just as Nick said that he left him standing there in the moonlight watching over nothing. And that's when Nick notices that Gatsby has realized he will never be able to get Daisy back. Furthermore, there was another gentleman that Nick telephoned and implied that he had got what he deserved. He was one of those who used to sneer most bitterly at Gatsby on the courage of Gatsby's slipper. Also showed that they used him for his extravagant parties and that, you know, they just used his generosity. So this not only shows that Gatsby did not have the ability to, you know, make friends, but it also shows the flaws about our society, how we use each other so much.
Alright, so the final part of our Gatsby video here is why did F. Scott Fitzgerald, what was his purpose in constructing a character such as J. Gatsby himself? Well, Fitzgerald created Gatsby as a reflection of his own life. You know, many authors and artists draw upon their own lives in a self-reflective way, and they do this sometimes very hard on themselves, much like Gatsby was, which is ironic because Fitzgerald's life turned out very similar to Gatsby's. His rise to wealth and then his fall again, but he did not know this prior to writing this novel. Fitzgerald constructed this character, I think, because I don't think America itself really knew yet what the American dream was, although this book, it's one of its main themes is chasing the American dream. What is the American dream? But I feel like that's why Fitzgerald put Gatsby in this novel, because America yet did not know what the American dream was. At the time, it was that generation's ability to further the mission and history of America. Much like the Pilgrims, they believed in it. The religious and political freedoms, the founding fathers, you know, how they created a new way of life that was free from the tyranny and rule back in England, much like the people in the 1920s that Fitzgerald portrays in the novel, how they're partying and living life large for the sake of doing it, to progress history after taking such a hit during World War I. They're ready to move on and make their mark in history as well. In the book, it says, as the moon rose higher, the inessential houses began to melt away until gradually I became aware of the old island here that flowered once for Dutch sailors' eyes, a fresh green breast of the New World. This is further just reinforcing the fact that the idea that when the people who sailed on the Mayflower, they first saw America, it was a land of new possibilities, and that's what I think that the people in the 1920s wanted to bring back, that idea that, new possibilities, anything was possible for them. Another quote from the book, for a transitory enchanted moment, man must have held his breath in the presence of this continent, compelled into an aesthetic contemplation he neither understood nor desired, face to face for the last time in history with something commensurate to his capacity for wonder. I think this is just such a fantastic quote. The idea that this new land was just that. It was brand new. The possibilities were endless. Something was equal, commensurate to his capacity for wonder. Just the fact that Gatsby was this character that strove for bigger and better, and pushed the American dream, helped create this idea of what the American dream could be, and that's why Fitzgerald put Gatsby into this book, based this book around the Great Gatsby. Also in the 1920s, there was a following up on that idea that America was a land of endless possibilities and how it manifested itself at the time. The 1920s was an era of possibilities and aspiration, a dominant and reoccurring Fitzgerald theme. It morphed into materialism and capitalism. You can seek wealth and gain enormous wealth, and just as much what you can buy. Fitzgerald was enamored with the wealth and what it could bring, and not being confused by the fact that it was the same kind of system that had always been there. And it's not just the American dream. In Fitzgerald's eyes, Gatsby is indicative of his generation, the lost generation. Fitzgerald said before publishing the book, actually, that's the whole burden of this novel. The loss of those illusions that give such color to the world so that you don't care whether things are true or false as long as they partake of the magic of the glory. It's that idea and notion that the endless, the surviving World War I, beating the odds, just believing that there has to be more, there has to be something better. And that's truly Gatsby's character. And as it says in the last page of the book, Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch our arms out farther, and one fine morning, ... The Great Gatsby. Thank you very much.